heart's racing. My mouth's gone dry. My head is all over the place. Hands shaking and just a little bit cloudy. And there's adrenaline pumping through my system right now. Is it excitement or is it nerves? Now, if it's excitement, I'm going to engage with you. I'm going to look out and see all of you in the audience and share my ideas passionately. If it's nerves, I'm going to withdraw. I'm going to see a wall of lights and hear silence. I'm going to stumble over my words. Two completely different experiences, and yet the data, the information coming into my brain, my system, is exactly the same. What I choose, the context, will depend on how my talk goes, how you take it, the experience that you take away. Wouldn't it be easier if I were an AI? If I could get rid of all this messy emotion, all of the stuff that's churning around my body right now, just deliver you the facts, the information, the data. Wouldn't that be a better experience for you? But would it? As humans, we have been sharing ideas through stories for tens of thousands of years. That combination of data and information combined with emotion. Data by itself can just be a bit dry. Bring emotion in, and it allows you to step into my experience, to feel empathy, to feel compassion, to change your understanding of the world by experiencing it as I do, and then shifting, and maybe just learning something different. Artificial intelligence is a general term for a suite of computer programs set up to mimic human intelligence. That means there's lots of different types of artificial intelligence, lots of different ways, depending on what you're trying to achieve, the data that's available, the data that gets fed in. Right now, most of artificial intelligence is mimicking our intellectual intelligence. It's taking in data, taking in information from the sensors that it gets access to, and also from the data that we feed it. These algorithms, these computer programs can then process that data, much more data than we can ever take into our brain. Look for patterns, look for connections, and look for ways of seeing different things, different links between that information. And it can also project forwards and say, well, what if we did this, what would happen? Not in small numbers, but in thousands of different scenarios. Artificial intelligence has amazing potential for the world. Sometimes think and wonder what it would have been like going through school if I was an artificial intelligence. Would that have been easier? Now, I could have hoovered up all of that information. I could have passed the exams and got through, just tick those boxes. Moving on from school, doing a degree in maths, computer programming, starting out my career, using the logic and the rationale of an artificial intelligence, I could have excelled, could have been amazing. There's a question of what I wouldn't have had, the friendships. I wouldn't have had the bullying on the school bus. I wouldn't have had to face that hormonal changes that happens when you're a teenager. Wouldn't have been easier if I'd been an AI. If I were an AI, I could be out there as a consultant, as an expert, knowing all this stuff. People would come to me and I'd have the right answer. Could be working in medical science, helping the doctors make decisions analysing all that data about the human body, about illnesses, about diagnoses, and coming up with information way beyond what our brains could do alone. I could be working in climate science, understanding what it is that we need to do with the environment, taking in and modelling ecosystems, looking at different scenarios, different ways that we could change things, and making suggestions for action that we could take. But would I care if I'm just analysing data and making suggestions? Do I have any understanding of the impact I'm having on the world? Not making decisions, I'm just taking the data and peering it together, making some suggestions of ideas to go forward. But artificial intelligence isn't just about those big ideas, those big impacts. It's actually embedded in our day-to-day life right now. And I'm not just talking about the chatbots that are kind of in the big hype right now. Artificial intelligence is every time you go online, every time you search, every time you click a button, every time you look at an image or watch a video. The AI is there in the background, creating a profile of you, trying to understand what it is that you like, so it can serve you and suggest films that you might like to watch. Make sure that the feed in your social media has your friends that you want to interact with. I'm not saying it always gets it right, but that's what they're trying to do. And of course, to try and sell you things, to try and persuade you that this is the next thing that you really, really want. By creating a profile of you, of your demographic, artificial intelligence can personalise the way things are provided to us. And as a coach, as a manager, I wonder there if it would be easier if I were an AI. If I could remember everything about the conversations I have with my clients and my staff. If I could have this profile easily to hand so that I could look at all that data, understand what it is they need, and recommend the right tools for them to go and use. Wouldn't that be easier if I were an AI? But then again, well, that was what, when I first started coaching and started into personal development, that's what I thought I needed to do. As I've developed, as I've become more comfortable, showing up, holding the space, listening to my clients, I've realised that the most powerful interactions, the most powerful changes have come from, not from me remembering all the data, but from me sitting there and listening for what's happening right now. Listening with compassion and empathy, helping them to find their own way. In a society where intellectual intelligence is the thing that we prioritise, at work, being professional, being logical, being rational is what we get asked for to move up in our careers. The soft skills are nice to have, but the logical, rational understanding is the thing that gets looked for. But that emotional intelligence, we minimise it, we hide it away. We stop and try to suppress the difficult stuff. If we go back 40,000 years, back to the time where Homo sapiens lived alongside the Neanderthals, we've been taught that Neanderthals, the reason that we survived over them was because we were more clever, because they were stupid. They didn't have the intelligence to survive. But research from the University of Colorado, archaeologists, have uncovered that that's not true. studying lots of different data, the size of Neanderthal skulls were larger than ours, suggests they had a larger brain, so potentially had more intellect. They found innovation, the tools that they created, some which it looks like we copied from them. And there's also suggestion they were stronger than us too. So if it wasn't our intellect and it wasn't our strength that meant that we outlived them, then what was it? The researcher and historian Rutger Bregman, in his book Humankind, talks about how it's probably our emotional intelligence which helped us survive. Our ability to connect, our ability to share ideas, our ability to learn from each other. If we have the ability within a tribe to share one idea amongst us quickly, then information spreads, that learning spreads much faster than everyone having to come up with the idea themselves. And that compassion, that empathy, that connection that comes through working together as a team, it appears that that could be why we as Homo sapiens survive. But emotion isn't just important for us as a group, as a community, and how we connect. It's also important to our own personal survival too. Research from Lisa Feldman Barrett, a neuroscientist at Northeastern University, talks about how our emotions are core to our way of surviving within the world. Our emotions are a combination of understanding what's going on within our body and the context of the world around us. We're not born with an understanding of our emotions. We're not born with a fingerprint saying, this is anger, this is sadness, this is fear. We develop that and are taught that through our culture. It's a shift in how we understand emotions. But what that suggests is that our emotions are here to give us information about what's going on and how we need to react. And the great thing about emotions is that they're instantaneous. You don't have to logic it through. If you need to get out of there because there's danger, you feel the adrenaline and you go. So it helps with our survival. Now, the great thing about this understanding, change in how we understand emotions, is that it means we're not held by them. We can actually step back and understand them better. And the better we understand them, the more we can choose our context. Is it nerves or is it excitement? It's all in the way I choose to respond. So my call out to you is when you're feeling those powerful emotions, the stress, the overwhelm, the despair, the grief, the sadness, and you're thinking, wouldn't it be easier if I were an AI? Maybe those emotions are giving you some information. Maybe those emotions are there to help you as a human understand how you need to be in the world, but also helping you connect and share your experiences with others. Maybe it's about learning more about those emotions rather than suppressing them, respecting the intellect and the value that AI brings, but working with it instead of dismissing what we bring as humans. So, was it excitement? Was it nerves? Combination of the two? Does it matter? What I really hope is that by going with the emotion, you've had a much more enjoyable, impactful talk from me rather than me trying to deliver as an AI.